weekly stream. With a little bit of a issue. It was supposed to be Taylor's week to stream, but he just messaged me a couple minutes ago and said he's got some family emergency, not able to do it. So luckily I was already sitting down here at the paint station ready to go to watch him and kind of hang out and everything. So kind of works out that way that I will continue doing what I was doing last week. So you might notice some different stuff here. Been working on some ships for a pretty cool GW one-off game called Dreadfleet, which I think is super cool. Was released in 2011, which was a naval battle game with ships. So I've been played a little bit the other day with a buddy at the local store. Been working on painting up some ships. This is, I think it's called the Black Kraken. It's actually a Chaos Dwarf submersible. It's a submarine that has all these cool tentacles and everything. Calling this one done for now. I was going to try to finish up the Flaming Scimitar and what was this one called? Grungnir's Thunder or something like that. The dwarf ship, which is cool, kind of like a steamboat. Good stuff. So once I get a little bit more done with that, then I will jump back into Abaddon, which excited to get more work done on him. A couple things I wanted to get done with these first, just so I can kind of be happier for myself where we're at with that. All right, we're gonna open that up. Let's pause that. Don't need to see that. No, I said pause. Alright, as usual, got to get this set up so I can watch it on the other thing. I want to see if I got chat going. Yeah, play live, but I want mute. There we go. Okay, got it figured out. Hoo-ha. So, first thing we're going to do is a little bit of dry brushing, which I don't do that often. But when I do, I think it works pretty well. We'll start with some white scar. And get a little bit on the palette. Just 5 seconds ago, right before I started streaming, I spilled the wash I used, the Colia green shade. And it knocked it over as I was trying to close it and made a mess. So I poured some back into it, and it's going to take a while for it to not be a mess. So I'm just going to dry brush these little bits of water we have on the side of the boat here. We got the little water gins that are helping to push this boat along. We got a couple of spots of water there, so I'm going to dry brush those real quick just to give it some nice frothy white water to show that it's busy. Easy peasy. Simple as that. Ugh. Close that back up. Clean our dry brush. Unfortunately, this dry brush is so big, it holds a ton of water. I love this brush, though. It's just the Army Painter dry brush. But it takes forever to dry to be useful again. So I just gotta wait a while. Alright, so that's to the point where I wanted it to be, so I can put it back on its base. So I can figure out where it lines up. I'm not going to go super crazy with these. And I don't expect them to look perfect. I just want them to look decent on the table. I like how the water turned out. Really, really simple. I just painted the base with Caldor Sky. And then washed it with that Colia green shade. And then dry brushed it with the white scar. Super simple method, but it looks pretty decent, especially like across the table. I'm not gonna put it over there, that's not done. Next step I was working on with this ship was to get the gold, more solid color gold, and then finish up the sails, which don't need that much to go. Hiya, White Run Guard of Skyrim. How we doing tonight? Alright, let's do some more gold. I always have an issue painting golds. That's not what I used. I used this. So we're going to use Citadel's Gehenna's gold. Give it a good shake, because you always got to. especially with these like things like gold that like to separate into a lot of red. At least this one. So I'm going to load up quite a bit of this on the palette. Put it where I had gold earlier today. And then we'll add a little bit of water, thin it down just a little bit. So you want to build up some layers here where we already have some gold. Gotta get up early tomorrow. Oh, I know how that is. I'll be getting up real early soon. With school starting next week. So we got all these the roofs of these different buildings, because in this game these ships are so massive that they have buildings on them, not just like a cabin. But entire some of this is one of the smaller ships. One of the big ships has an entire castle. So I'm just going to kind of go over this gold one more time just to make sure it's nice and solid color, so it looks gold and not just dirty different brown or something. I'm not sure how well it's turning up in the feed. Seems alright. Gotta make sure I'm in frame though. And I'm not always the best about that with these painting videos. Still getting used to it, you know, painting while doing this. I know last week I said I was going to try to do some gaming, like play Warcry or something while doing the stream. Wasn't possible tonight with it being a last second kind of thing. So I figured, well, I'll just continue painting what I've been painting today. Why not? And then maybe next week or 2 weeks I'll do some live stream from the store playing something. Don't know what yet. And we're just going to go over this gold one more time. Try to get a nice solid gold here. I think that'll be good for that. That looks much better than it did. And we'll jump over to the dwarf ship and do kind of the same thing. Go over second, third coat of the gold. Try to get a nice even coverage, which isn't always as easy as you'd think it would be, especially with these golds that love to separate. For years I've been meaning to get some different gold paints because GW's golds are notoriously bad. I hear a lot of good stuff about Vallejo's golden paints, even Privateer Press's P3 Privateer Press paints. I've heard good things about their golds. Because the GW golds are just trash. Not a fan. Like I said, I'm not painting these to my usual standard just because I just want to get them table ready, because we're just gonna play some games at the store. Maybe do a bat rep or something with it if there's interest. But for now, it's just kind of for me to do something different. But we'll get to Abaddon in just a minute. I'm going to do this. Got this cool dwarf face on the side of the boat. We'll hit that with some gold as well. And then this one will need a bunch of touch-ups because I am not being very neat right now. Just kind of doing a quick here. It's just the first layer real quick. We'll touch up the green later. Like I said, I'm not really worried about it being perfect at this point. Really ever. I just want to get some color on these so it's not just, they were just prime black. So I really don't want just big rectangles of black on the table. Played a little bit yesterday, and the ships we used were just prime black, and it just doesn't look great. You lose a lot of the, like, for me, it kind of, I don't know if I go so far as to say it takes me out of the game, but it really just isn't as fun, especially when you're playing such a visual game like miniature wargaming. It's a little meh. Alrighty, so I think That makes me happy where we are with the ships for now. I'm not going to worry about doing those sales at the moment because we want to get back to painting Abaddon, the Despoiler. Let's see how much further we can get with him. So this is after 2 sessions. Now last week wasn't as long. Remember, I was really tired, wasn't feeling so great because I had my conference for the few days, and it was just cut it a bit short. So we'll see what more we can get with Abaddon today. I think we're gonna take a look. He's mostly base coated. Still haven't gotten the next contrast I wanted to use here. We'll use a little bit for his top knot. I don't know what you call that. Ribbon. Or the helmet on top that's going to be salamander. We'll hit this armor down at the bottom with what's it called again? Wraithbone to get that contrast as well. We'll do that on a bunch of things down here. And we'll get some of his base painted up so it looks a little bit better. So let's start with what I just said I was going to do. Oh, let's grab that contrast to do the thing holding up his top knot. So we'll go to Snakebite Leather, classic paint returning. This will be a nice, real quick, just a couple swipes, good to go, kind of thing, which is what I love about contrast. Oh no, he fell off his base again. I feel like that happened a couple weeks ago, a couple of times. Try to get around the back so we can see it better. And one more spot, and we're good to go. Actually, I want to add a little bit more just to make it a little bit darker. There. Easy peasy, that part's done. So we'll leave him right there so you can see him. And then, what are they going to do? Wraithbone. We'll do some work on the base. I got to be real careful where I put this on the palette. I'm running out of spaces after that big spill. By tomorrow it'll be all nice and dry, but I just wish I had a way to use more of that. Maybe after I use this Wraithbone, I'll grab some more of the ship bases and paint them blue so I can use up some of this wash before it's ruined. Oops, put too much water on there. Too thin. That's alright, we'll just do another coat. Not a big deal. So we're just going to paint this whole Space Marine Wraithbone, so after I finally get a green contrast, we can cover it with that, and it'll be a dead salamander. Because my kind of homebrew Chaos Marines very much don't like the salamanders. Oh no! So yeah, it is going to have to be a short stream tonight. Totally forgot my phone wasn't super charged. I think I was at like 30-something% when I started, because I wasn't planning on being the one streaming tonight, so I didn't think it mattered. I was going to watch the stream on my iPad. So we'll just see what we can do. I'll have to keep an eye on that, and we'll have to, you know, be done when the phone is out of battery. Which is fine. It's not a huge deal that it goes the full hour every time. The most important thing about these streams is just getting this weekly content in, something that people can kind of rely on if you want to watch and listen and, you know, hear about what's going on. Which, not much. I think last week I talked a lot about the tournament we had. Well, I guess I could talk about the narrative event I ran this past Sunday, just a few days ago. At the local game store, we played through a couple missions. We played through one mission of Vigilus Ablaze, a relatively new book. Unfortunately, not that many people were able to make it. I know a few more were planning on coming and just weren't able to. So we are planning on doing another narrative event. And hopefully we'll get a few more people. We ended up having 4 players, including myself, which wasn't bad. I was a little worried it was just going to be me and one other dude I know was coming. So I was happy to see there were a few more. And those that were able to make it did really enjoy it. So we're definitely going to be doing it again. and it was just a way to get together to play some games that wasn't necessarily a tournament, so people didn't have to bring like tournament lists, and it wasn't like a win at all costs kind of thing, which is a nice change of pace. Tournaments are good to go, to really give it your all and see what you can do, but I know it leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth when it doesn't go how they expect it to, kind of thing. I'll give that a second to dry before we do another coat. And then, boy, I wish I had some more bases already painted blue. Grab a couple more ships here. So you see, these are the flagships. You can see are much bigger. Sorry, try to get that in shot better. We got, this is called the Heldenhammer. It's the flagship of the Grand Alliance, kind of the good guys, and this was the one we were working on, the Flaming Scimitars. You can see it's much bigger. I have a couple of the undead ships. This is the Curse of Xandri, I think. It's the Arabian ship. Would see this is already painted blue. I'm going to give it one more coat just to touch it up, and then we'll hit it with some of my green shade here. And this is the Bloody Reaver, the flagship of the undead fleet, led by Count Noctilus, his name is. So, grab some blue. This is our good old, what was it, Caldor Sky. I'm try to quick switch brushes here. A nice big brush for this. Again, we got a bunch of paint out here. I gotta watch out for that spot of gold I have left over. I'm not sure why that's all the way over there, but oh well. And let's see if we can take this ship off. Shouldn't be glued on. No, it's not. Perfect. And then we'll just kind of touch up this water real quick. Again, pretty much just so I can use some of that green shade wash before it all dries up, so it's not completely wasted because I spilled it like a noob. I was really frustrated. I was trying to squeeze it shut and it just kind of jumped out of my hand, and I was just like, oh no, I've joined the club. Not that I have never spilled wash before, but it was quite a lot. I thought I was safe for half a second because I was in the process of closing it. I thought I closed it and then dropped it, and then I looked and saw that no, that was not the case. It was partly closed, so it probably would have been worse, but not great. So yeah, this set, I don't even know if he remembers. This actually belongs to Timmy, brother. And it's just something that, one of those things that I've kind of adopted over the years, where he let me borrow it for some time, and I had started to paint some of the ships. He'd actually started to paint this one years and years and years ago, but we can see how far he got. Couple colors. And yeah, it was one of those, it's just kind of been living at my house for a while, so I've played it here and there. Every few years it seems to make its way out. And then my buddy Logan and I were talking about playing a game yesterday, and I was like, hey, you want to try Dreadfleet? I don't even know, I can't remember what made it pop in my head. Maybe I saw it in my closet the day before or something like that. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to learn that game. I do this all the time on the stream. I was talking about something and I got distracted and I'm talking about something else. For the narrative game we played, what was it called? On the Bridge, I believe, from Vigilus Ablaze, where the part of the story is that the Chaos invaders were coming through the system, and Calgar was like, alright, we'll meet him in space with the Imperial Navy and we'll try to just, take them out there before they even get to the planet, and then we don't have to worry about a ground war with them. Which was a really good idea until Abaddon was like, well, I knew he was going to do that, so he had prepared this new thing that they never done before. Never, I don't know if they never tried it or so never successful at it, but he was able to summon a whole bunch of Slaanesh demons right onto the bridge of a bunch of Calgar ships, which is pretty cool visual in the story. And they fight off all kinds of demons, including greater demons, keepers of secrets, and everything. So that was the mission we played was based on that narrative where live streaming.
Cold down here.
So it was we have attacker and defender kind of set up, and what was it? So Imperial players were automatically defenders because they were on the bridge of their ship, and Chaos players were automatically attackers because they were the ones showing up. And obviously, didn't expect everybody to be playing Slaanesh demons. It was really too bad. Taylor was planning on playing Slaanesh demons, but he wasn't able to make it at the last minute, which would have been awesome because we had an Ultramarines player who was fielding Marnius Calgar, so it would have been perfect. But it just didn't work out that way, which, it's part of wargaming as an adult. Things happen. And it worked out pretty well with the four of us. We had 2 Imperial players and we had 2 Chaos players. I was using Chaos. I fielded just a pretty relatively simple list. What do I even have? I don't even remember. I just kind of took whatever because I didn't know who was going to show up. I didn't know, I wanted to bring something that was totally painted because I included, painting points for points for the event. And the whole point is that it's supposed to be a linked series of events where each faction can get points from the players. So each faction being Chaos, Imperium, or Xenos. So obviously Xenos didn't accrue any points this time. They will be able to get more if Xenos players show up the next time. So it was just Chaos versus Imperium this time. So we just split it up that way, of course, 1v1. And it was pretty cool where the defenders deployed first, and they had 6 inches in on every table edge except for their long table edge. I guess it was kind of like if you're looking at the map from the perspective of the defender, they had a U around the edges, so they couldn't deploy on my long table edge at all, but they could deploy 6 inches up from either short edge and 12 inches up from their long edge. And they had 6 objectives they had to cover that were pretty much all within their deployment zone, spread evenly around in that same kind of U shape. And the whole point was that I needed to destroy those to try to cripple their ships. It was kind of interesting. As we were playing it, I was realizing, it's one of those games that could be tough for it looked really easy for the attacker at first because we could get units back. After they were fully destroyed on a 4+, they could come back in the end of a movement phase. So it seemed really easy to just wreck them because I just kept getting units back. He would destroy a Venom Crawler and I'd get it back, and he was like, oh no. Or he would take out a unit of 2 Obliterators and then they would come back, which is a big deal. And at first it seemed like, well, this seems really easy for the attacker, and the other table was saying that as well because the attacker was doing very well. He had Black Legion pretty vanilla list against Space Wolves. I was playing the Ultramarines that game, and what was it? I lost my train of thought completely. That was weird. It came down to you had to destroy so many of these objectives in order to have any chance of winning for the attacker. Oops, I just knocked the phone. Sorry about that. And we figured pretty quickly that actually you need to destroy all 6 objectives to have a chance to win that game. And it was only on a 1, so it was okay, now it seems like this is really not in the attacker's favor at all. So the guy I was playing against, name is Ryan. He said he had to go at a certain time. So it was well, the game's going to be over either way. So we'll see So it was like real quick. Let's see what happens. I destroyed the 6th objective. It was the 5th turn, so there's a chance it was going to be over anyway, because it was random game length at 5 turns. So rolled for it real quick. I destroyed all 6 objectives. He rolled a 1, and Chaos won. And it was like, oh wow, okay, I guess that's over. Very cool. So I ended up winning that one for Chaos and getting 5 glory points. And then the other game went a lot longer. I tend to play very, very fast at things like events and tournaments and whatnot, so it didn't surprise me that we finished a bit before. Try to help that dry a little bit. See, this is still quite wet, so I'm not really worried about that. The other game went quite a bit longer. I let them go over time because we decided that we were only going to play that one game today because we couldn't really figure out. There was no way to really play the next one that day. And then Chaos ended up winning that one as well. Space Wolves rolled a 1 after Chaos destroyed all 6 objectives. So it was like, went from thinking, oh, this is really easy for attackers, to, oh, wow, this is really hard for attackers, to, okay, wow, that was weird and quick. And it was done. And they won. So Chaos won both first games, so the Imperium and the Xenos both have a bit to catching up to do. So we're going to hopefully do another one of those in September next month and see what kind of interest there is. But I think I'm going to have to end it real early tonight. My phone is just about dead. I want to stop it before I'm totally out of battery. Other than this here, we'll continue Abaddon next week. I know we didn't get much done with him today. We got plenty of time to get him done. Otherwise, I'll say, the usual. Check us out on social media. We have a pretty busy Instagram. We've got Twitter, our Facebook. Search for Whom the Die Rolls on any of those. Our Twitch, of course, Wednesdays at 9. If you're watching this on YouTube after I post it there the next week, check us out Wednesdays at 9 p.m. for live streams. Not always painting. Trying to mix it up here and there. I know Taylor was excited to start painting some Slayers for his Dwarf Fantasy Army. Always, there's our Patreon. We'd love to get some support there to help us to make this the best channel we can. See what kind of things we can add with a little bit of patron support. Would be fantastic and amazing, and we'd be super grateful for that. Other than that, I'm going to say, join us next week, and otherwise, game on. Of course, I missed the end button.